Welcome back to another We Understand It Now podcast, Go Real Estate. We're joined today with Atef Usman from West Capital Lending.
That's correct.
So, Atef, thank you for coming in. Love to have you here. I know we've collaborated indirectly and our circles have overlapped a lot. And inshallah, looking forward to doing a lot of business with you. But for those who have not grown as familiar with you as I have, tell us a little about your background, who you are, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I appreciate you having me here, Jawad.
Thank you.
It's an honor to meet your team, to see your office. Your company, Go Real Estate Group is, this is a lot more than I thought I was walking into. Coming in and seeing your team, seeing your setup, and what you guys have planned over the next 12 and 24 months is really, really impressive. And I'm just excited to be a part of it. So just kind of give you a little bit of a background. My name is Atef Usman. I've been a mortgage banker for 13 years. I've been in this business a long time. I've been very grateful and fortunate to see, the cycles of the industry, rates going up and rates going down and the market changing and the economy changing and different things happening. So I'm very, very grateful to be in the position that I am. He's going to have to edit that part out.
Good.
I'm trying to get these thoughts
it's fun with it. Khalas. No. So you've been in it, you said about a decade or more?
A little over a decade. I started in this business in 2013 at a small mortgage company in Plano called Loan Depot. Okay, I started there as a train. I was coming in being trained. They taught me how to sell mortgages, and they got me licensed, and they got me, really trained up to becoming elite at what I do. I spent 3 years there. I kind of went up the ranks, became a manager, and then I got recruited to go to another company called Caliber Home Loans.
Familiar.
Spent a really good time in my career there, about 6-7 years. I was able to build a really strong team, a really big organization. We had about 120 loan officers, and I was the top team for much of that time. So learned a lot, got a lot of swings at the plate, a lot of experience working with a lot of different types of people, loan products, real estate agents, and the benefit of working with a broker like myself is, number one, you're going to have access to 140 different lenders, right? You're not just working with this company and offering you these products. I have a variety of different products with 140 different lenders, and so we can literally cherry pick the best lender with the best rates, with the best costs, with the best technology and service all around. The wholesale space is great. I can offer, majority of the clients that I work with 0.5% to 1% lower than what their retail bank is offering them. So it's kind of a no-brainer, situation to be in, position to be in. Not to mention, a lot of my work is very white glove, right? White glove service, whenever they need me, morning, noon, or night, the clients, I'm there for them, and then more importantly, the real estate agent knows that they can confidently rely in my process, in my product, in my business, in my work. And so I'm very fortunate enough to have built a really good team and a really good support system around me, that kind of gets to our success. Look, nothing is done by myself, man. The success I've reached is only because of the people that I have around me and because of the grace of God.
No, 100%. And we talk about the integrity of the business, like you're saying, the team that functions and having the white glove service. I'll give all praise first to God and then second to our founder and our broker, Ahmed Omar, the head and the visionary of Go Real Estate Group, of being able to put the pieces in place that allows us to align with partners like yourself, where we have a very similar attitude when it comes to the business, where it's not transactional, it's a relationship business. So I love hearing that, and I think that speaks to the success that you've had as well, and that's something we take pride in here at Go Real Estate. You mentioned about 10 years, so we'll have fun with that. Do you consider yourself a ninja survivor, or were you here during or after that phase of lenders who were doing the no income, no job, just kind of sign a dotted line and you got a house? What's your experience coming out of that phase? Because I think you came in, sounds like at the tail end of that.
Correct. Okay. Correct. So, it's funny. I hear stories all the time from different brokers and lenders and just people who've been in the business 20 years, 30 years, and they tell me about some of these different types of products and different types of financing that was available prior to a lot of the regulation that we have today, right? Prior to the housing crash of 2008. I started in the business in 2013. So I came in at the very tail end of that.
Yeah.
I did hear a lot of the stories of people's lives who were ruined and things that happened that shouldn't have happened because of because of bad actors. And that's what people like me and a lot of my team and a lot of the industry now has been refined.
Yes.
It's funny, man. I look back and I think to myself when I first got in the business, and I think to myself, I can't believe that we went through this type of housing. We had to taste that, right? The economy in the world had to taste that type of housing crisis for us to start regulating things and doing things correctly. But, at the end of the day, everything that's supposed to happen is going to happen. And most importantly is that you always put your best foot forward and you control what you can control. Yeah. I'm like over here sweating.
You're good, bro. Alhamdulillah, you're fine.
Thinking too hard.
No, you're fine. Don't think about it. On that note of the lessons learned and coming into the tail end of that, you see a lot more of these deals coming across your desk, and you're sitting in a seat where you're the one in charge of regulating that, right? On the agent perspective, I'm setting my clients up for success, helping them visualize the dream and connecting them with an expert like yourself to go through that process that's critical into the home buying process or even buying in the commercial space as an investor. Do you feel, in your professional opinion, we have a risk of going down that far line again, or are we towing the line too safely where now a lot of people are getting disqualified out of buying, right? Coming from those lessons learned. Where do you see we are? Can we get back to that extreme, or do you feel like we're being a little too safe or somewhere in the middle?
So that's a very good question. The housing crisis that happened in 2008 happened because there were a lot of people in loans that they didn't qualify for. Today, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, Ginnie Mae, all the big government entities, they've regulated things where we can't fall down that same type of trap. There are guidelines and things in place to protect us, the American consumer, from falling into that trap like we did before. The reality though is that, let me just think about how I'm going to say
you're
this.
good.
The reason something like that won't happen anymore is because lenders are way more regulated, right? We are being audited way more than they ever were before. I got a federal license to do this.
Yeah.
We go through an annual, we take annual continuing education. I got 10 state licenses and a federal license. So this is not like a one-time you take a test and you're done. Yeah. These people are
it's very stringent.
Are tested. Very stringent process, right? And you got to do this annual continuing education. And if you don't do it or you can't complete it, then you're out.
Do you feel like, so that's from the licensing standpoint, do you feel like when it comes to qualifying these potential clients, are we playing it too safe? Or do you think this is what we need to do to make sure that we don't go off the cliff's edge again?
So look, man, I don't necessarily think we're playing it too safe. I think people can qualify. Just what's happened since really January 22 up until now is that the government has tightened monetary policy so much. Rates have gone up so quickly, the fastest that they've ever gone up because of the fear of inflation, right? And so Jerome Powell is talking about this stuff regularly, and I know he's getting a lot of pushback from the top of the House and the White House on cutting rates, but the reality is that the reason they're playing it safe is because they are concerned about the inflation. It's no secret that we're paying more for things today than we did last year. And so I do think that we've got the smartest of the smartest in those seats for a reason, and so they're making those decisions for a reason. Just like any mortgage cycle, I do feel like it all comes back around full circle. So do I think they're being a little tight or careful or cautious? Yeah, I think that they are. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Okay. We just don't want to see a crack in the customer, right? It's not a joke that the government has $37 trillion in government debt. Yeah. In interest alone, we're paying $1 trillion a year in interest alone. We've got $37 trillion in debt, and we're paying $1 trillion a year in interest on that $37 trillion. Those numbers are staggering and unheard of. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and those numbers we're adding to that, right?
Yes.
So, do I think that things are a little tight? Yeah, rates are higher and it's harder for people to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that it's going to change? Absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
the government, you just kind of pay attention to the news and you read the right articles and you look for the right data. But if you really look at it, the likelihood of an interest rate cut coming up very soon, actually, in the next 30 to 60 days is extremely high. It's highly likely. Okay.
Do you feel like that's needed? Because if you ask real estate agents, 90% of them, I like to think I'm in the 10% that might be more cautious and say, I don't want the floodgates to open, because we've seen what happens when that happens in 2021, 2022, when markets like Dallas saw a 40% increase in home values, which is not sustainable or healthy. And that's where we're correcting a bit now. Most agents in the real estate offices will say, yeah, rates need to drop. I got buyers that are lined up. We'll crush it. What's the conversation in your realm on that side of the field where you're saying, look, we need to be a little more cautious. We're actually managing the paperwork. We're looking at the statements and people's actual income and true affordability. Are you guys as eager for a rate cut, or what's the sense you get?
Great question. So I can tell you this. If you were to take a poll in my office of the number of people that would raise their hand on, voting for a rate cut, it would be 100%.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because cutting the rates 25 basis points is not really going to move the needle for us right now. It's a process of cutting rates multiple times before we really see, the outcome.
Yeah.
Ultimately, will we see a little bit of boost in phone calls and conversations and customers asking? Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure I'll have a few more phone calls. Yeah. I'll pull a few more credit reports. I'll be able to review a few more financial resumes, and help people, get pre-approved and get into a house or refinance their home. But, a year from now, cutting rates 25 basis points over a series of 4, 5, 6 interest rate cuts, then we'll start looking at people's rates being 1% lower, 1.5% lower. And this is for the purchase market, right? When it comes to refinance, I just got done telling you the country's, we got $37 trillion in federal debt, in government debt. That's also that's also the American, household and the taxpayer. We're at an all-time high in debt as well.
Credit card debt. Yes.
But we are also at an all-time high in equity in homes. And so, yes, people are, instead of paying 30% on a credit card bill, people are leveraging the equity in their home, extracting that and paying off their high interest debt. And so that's what we're seeing now, right? We're seeing people that have an all-time high in equity in their homes, but also have an all-time high in debt. And so what they are doing is they're collateralizing their debt. And they're paying off their debt with the equity in their home. And they would rather pay, that if they're paying off $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 of high interest debt, they're wrapping that up into a 6% mortgage on their house versus paying 30%, 29, 28% on their credit card bill, over the next year, 2 years. And so people are finding different creative ways to get ahead in times where, interest rates are a little bit higher. And so, look, man, the reality is the strong do survive in this industry, okay, in our business. And so, interest rate is not what sells the deal, right?
Yeah.
What sells the deal is the benefit to the client.
Yeah.
What's the benefit to the client? Are they purchasing a house that they're going to be able to put over their family's head? That's a benefit. Are they downsizing a home because their payments are too high, for example? That's a benefit. Are they moving because employment reasons?
Yeah.
Are kids going to a different school and they've got to relocate?
Yeah.
Did something happen in life, right? Did someone pass away? Are kids going to college? Do you have a bunch of debt or business needs where you're going to need to utilize some of that equity in your home? Yeah. And so people are calling us because they're realizing they can utilize that equity. Yeah. I only think, and I'm very confident in this, I truly believe that as rates go down, more and more people will be calling because of this. As rates go down, the American consumer is just that. We are a consumer.
Yes.
If rates go down, people are probably going to use their credit cards a little bit more. Yeah. Just because things get cheaper doesn't mean people are borrowing less.
Yes.
people are actually borrowing more than they've ever borrowed before. It's just cost more to borrow right now.
Right.
Okay. In 6 months, we'll sit down and do this podcast again, and we'll be probably talking about rates 50 basis points lower.
Inshallah. God willing. I hope so. You mentioned the phones start ringing again, and you have your consumers reaching back out. And I'm of the opinion the same way, where even if it's not a significant rate cut, if it's a trajectory shift, that raises the consumer sentiment index enough where people feel more optimistic and they want to have the conversation. And going into the affordability, the financing, the rates, I'm old school when it comes to sales coaching and training. I've done it for over a decade, and Zig Ziglar and all the originals. So I like to think of things in threes. And when I think of current affordability, at least from the agent's perspective, and I believe there's a crossover here, I look at it as you've got the refi conversation, the reaction conversation, or the reset conversation. And to break those down, and I want your opinion on each of these, we tapped in a bit on refinancing. And I think the mistake most agents make is they think date the rate, marry the house. Sounds really cool. It's easy to roll off the tongue, but the power of refinancing you just described, where it's not just about getting a lower interest rate on your home. It's now you're holding on to an asset that's growing value, and you can tap into that equity through the tool of refinancing. Right?
Correct. You can either tap into it via cash out refinance.
Yep.
You can tap into it with a home equity line of credit.
Right.
You can tap into it with a home equity loan. And these are all three very different products, and there's different qualification factors to get to qualify for each one of them. Some are easier than others, and some are tougher than others.
Right.
The costs are different, the rates are different, and so really it's individualized. You got to just take a look at every person's their file, and you'll be able to tell them specifically what they qualify for. Look, man, I do think that as rates start to taper and they go down, I think there will be more people that are interested.
Yeah.
Right. If rates drop even just marginally, there will be more people in the market. There are people that don't qualify now because that extra $100 a month gets them.
Gets added.
Declass. They disqualify. That 25 basis point, that 0.25% drop might be the difference.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden they can own it. They can buy a house.
And that goes into the third R, but the other two, so we talked about refi, then we've got a reactionary mindset versus being proactive, where you're waiting to see what happens. And we all know waiting costs more than acting. And there's also the last one that you're tapping into now, and I want you to tackle these both if you can, is resetting the expectations. That's the relationship part of this business. It's easy, and I don't want to downplay the expertise level it takes to guide a client and sign a contract and make sure you're checking it. But in my opinion, in my experience of doing this for about 10 years now, it takes a whole lot more to manage the relationship than it is to manage the transaction, right? So when you're resetting those expectations and making sure that you're setting those clients up for success and saying, look, maybe we need to reset your focus on what you can afford, or we need to start getting into the market so you can find out what you can afford. How do you feel, agents that you're partnering with could handle that better? What advice do you have for us? And number two, what do you see the financial market shift having an impact on when it comes to those expectations?
Great questions, man. You came prepared, and I love that. Look, number one, you do have to, in today's market, I'm finding that you do have to reset expectations with clients. Okay. People think that, buying $1 million house is, it's as easy as a $5,000 mortgage payment. They don't take into consideration the property taxes. They don't take into consideration homeowners insurance increases, right? Every year it feels like. So affordability is definitely a conversation that we have regularly, right? It's better to be safe than sorry. And it's also better to, under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
Okay. I catch myself all the time, listening to guys who promise the stars and the moon and the world to a client. And I think to myself, why? Just keep it real and tell it like it is. You gotta set expectations. If a customer's coming in and saying, hey, I want to buy this house, this is what I qualify for, or I think I qualify for. Okay, sounds good. Let's take a look at it. Inshallah. Let's make it happen for you. this is what I need so that I can review your assets, income, and credit. I need to go over these details with you, and then we'll be able to tell you exactly what you qualify for. I never like to lead the conversation with, you can't do this, or it's not going to work, or you don't qualify. You know, you'll leave the customer with a bad taste in their mouth, and maybe a little less hope.
Yes.
Right. You always want to lead with the positivity. You always want to lead with the good energy, with the solutions, right? With I am going to do it. I'm going to figure out how to do it, right? I'm going to figure out a way to make it happen for this client. You know, and it might not always look pretty, but it's always important that you provide a client a solution, whether they can do it today or next week or next month, or you got to do something and it might take 6 months. There's always a way to get it done, whether it's immediately or after a little bit of time. You know, yes, of course, you've got to set the proper expectations with clients, because otherwise, you know, they're going to hold you to what you say. And so be very direct and very clear. You know, when it comes to numbers, when it comes to data, you got to provide that stuff willingly and openly and transparently. And if you can't do that, you're probably in the wrong role.
I love that. And my thought on that is, there's so many variables in this industry and in the journey of investing or buying or selling. The least we can do as the professionals is be the constant. At least they should know what to expect from us, whether it's the communication, you tapped into how you like to communicate to your clients, whether it's being honest and being upfront with your thoughts, your professional opinion on it. If they can rely on that, it makes the fog clear a bit more. We can't control what the ones sitting in the high tower are going to do with the numbers, or what the trillions of dollars. Because if you try to break down trillions of dollar debt to a client, they're going to be like, hold on.
Yeah, exactly.
There's more zeros in that than I was expecting to come across, right? We need to take this $3 million office building purchase or $300,000 first home purchase, or whatever that looks like, and make it as digestible and as seamless and easy to approach for our clients as possible. So being the constant is critical. You talked about your follow-up. You've talked about your experience. You said something to me that struck me in a way that I haven't heard somebody say something in a long time, and I loved it as we were preparing to come in the room. And you said, you have and I might paraphrase this here, you have a white-collar profession, but a blue-collar hustle.
That's right, baby.
Talk to me
about
that.
That's what we do.
Talk to me about that.
Man,
where does that come from? What does that mean to you?
Look, I did not grow up in this business. I didn't grow up in a white-collar family. But I always knew that, you know, with hard work, with the right team, you know, with honesty and transparency and likability and knowledge and strategic action, you know, you can get to the top. And so I always look at my job as it's a white collar job, but you got to have a blue collar hustle. I might wear, you know, the nice suit.
I look good.
Come in the sunglasses. But ultimately, man, I'm in the trenches with my clients. I'm in the trenches with my real estate agents. You know, I'm in the trenches with my bankers and my team. You know, I don't sit in an office on a pedestal. I'm in there, you know, on the floor with my team, answering questions. I'm taking phone calls. I'm calling listing agents, buyers agents, title companies. I'm on the phone, relentless, zero fear, making the phone calls, getting the right people on the phone, and getting the job done. Okay. And I think that's what differentiates me, man, is, you know, a lot of people, they wear the suit and they think that I made it, right? No, that's not the way that I look at this job, man. I'm out there getting it with my people. You know, I look at myself as a guy that does the grunt work, you know, and you do enough grunt work, man, everyone ends up looking and depending on this person. Right. And so, you know, starting at the bottom is the only way, is the smartest way. It's the most fulfilling way. You know, when I first started in this industry, man, I wasn't wearing a suit. You know, I wasn't. Just to kind of take a step back, let me reintroduce myself. So my name is Atef Osman. I'm with West Capital Lending. I've been a mortgage banker for 13 years. I'm very grateful and very blessed. I'm very fortunate to have my beautiful wife Rhoda and my kids Laith, Saif, and Ilyas, and you know, I will say this, man. This industry is not for everybody. It's very tough. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication. You know, when I started in this business, I wasn't a banker, right? I had to get federally licensed and I had to learn the trade. But what I did start with is I started taking phone calls and then transferring those calls after I got the customer excited to a banker that wanted to take that customer down. That's how I started. And I was the best at that. And once I became the best at that job, I got the opportunity to be on the phone speaking to the customer about the loan, right? I got licensed and I got that opportunity. West Capital is one of the largest broker shops in the country. I work right here in Plano, Texas. Our corporate office is out in Orange County, in Irvine, in California. I'm licensed in 10 states. So I do business all over the country, East Coast and West Coast, but our company's licensed in all 50 states. So if I can't get the loan done, I've got a partner that can. West Capital is a company that's headed by Danny Iskander and Eric Hines. It's the founder and the co-founder of our company. 10 years ago, Danny was my vice president at Loan Depot when I started in the business. And it's crazy how this business comes full circle. And that's why I say this business is a relationship business. You can never burn a bridge because you never know who's going to be the owner of the company or who you're going to manage in the future or who you're going to work with. And so, look, man, I never thought that my old VP when I was a banker or a manager at that time at a big company was going to end up owning the company that I put my federal license at. And so,
it's powerful.
That's why I'm grateful for the opportunity for, you bringing me in here and having this conversation, meeting your team and seeing your incredible office. I look forward to the incredible things we're going to do together.
It's going to be awesome.
Yes,
it's
sir.
going to be awesome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I want to hear about what your thoughts are with your experience, and you've gone through different large organizations. Now you're, I say you've turned off autopilot. Sounds like you're on fighter pilot mode right now, where you're maneuvering, you're moving fast, you're taking this decade-long lessons. You're seeing the mistakes that were made in the past. You're anticipating what's to come in the future. MashaAllah, sounds like you have a beautiful, beautiful outlook and brilliant outlook on how the financial market is moving in this country. What's the X factor in the next 12, 24, even 5 years when it comes to professionals in our industry? Separating yourself and being somebody who's not going to either get drowned in the competition, in times of uncertainty, as technology advances. There's so much coming at us right now where a lot of people would rather just sit in a cubicle with a cozy W-2, and they're not out here doing hand-to-hand combat like entrepreneurs in America right now. So thinking about it on that scale, you've seen a lot. What's your foresight for the future?
Look, Habibi, so the bottom line is just in the past 2, 3, 4 years, 50% of the people that were mortgage bankers are no longer in the industry, right? And that's because a lot of these guys, I call them order takers, right? They were in the business when rates were low and they were just picking up the phone and taking the order. When it comes down to working hard and selling benefit to your clients and really digging in and doing the extra, 50% of the industry wasn't willing and capable of doing it. And that's why they're out of the business, right? This is the strong survives, right? And the way that I look at it is all the people that got out of the business when rates went up over the past few years, they're not positioned well to really, really take advantage of accumulating market share, building a reputation that's better, building a community, creating an incredible image for yourself in your local community where you do a lot of business. Those people are not in the best position to capitalize on that opportunity. Guess who is? People like you and I. Okay. And that's because even when times were hard, we were going full throttle. We were working hard. We were out there knocking on doors, making phone calls, building relationships, taking on the harder jobs, staying up later, doing the extra that nobody else wanted to do. And that's why once the market turns and rates start dropping, people like you and people like I and our teams are the ones that are positioned really well to take advantage of helping as many clients as possible because you've got your system and your business already turnkey and prepared for those leads and that business to come in. Whereas the guys sitting on the sideline now and the guys who could not cut it or did not make it, they're going to have to get back in, get re-licensed, learn it all again. Things change all the time. The beautiful thing about our business is this. No deals are the same. Every single day I learn something new. Every single day I hear a new scenario with a different client. And that's the beautiful thing about our business. It never gets boring. It never gets old. There's always something new to learn. Okay. And so, man, I look forward to continuing to, change, adapt with the times, right? One thing that you brought up just now is technology. Technology is a very, very, it's a beautiful thing, right? For some people, it could be a very scary thing. You either learn to move with it or it's going to pass you by, right? You're going to get left behind because the people using the technology, are the ones that are going to be able to get further ahead. They're going to have, access to sending out better messaging quicker. They're going to have access to the follow-up game better. They're going to have access to the relationship tools and the data a lot quicker. The people who are not in the business, or who are not really ingrained and really entrenched in it the way that we are, man, they're going to get left in the dust. They're going to get left in the dust. You got to master your craft.
Yeah.
You got to master your craft. And there's no way to do that by just sitting there and waiting for the next deal to show up to you.
Yeah.
You got to be out there. You got to be hustling. You got to be reading. You got to be calling. You got to be networking. You've got to be spending. You've got to be showing. You've got to be out there putting your best self out there, because I promise you, someone is right behind you trying to take that customer. Someone's right there trying to basically take the business, right? They're in there trying to capitalize on the opportunity. And if you're not, I promise you, someone's right behind you trying to do that, So you got to be a go-getter in our business. And look, man, AI is coming for everybody, right? The type of tools that we use today in our business is incredible. Things that would take me hours, countless hours and weeks to complete, reports and messaging to clients and setting up campaigns, things that would take me, over a period of time, hours and hours to take care of. You can now go in there and knock it out within no time.
Hyper efficient. And that's, I like to think of it as, you can think of it as AI is coming to work for you as a service, or is coming for you as a replacement.
Absolutely.
You get to choose which side of the equation you want to be on, right? You can either leverage that and get ahead of it.
You can either let AI, do to you what Blockbuster did, what Netflix did to Blockbuster, right? Or you can get with the times, get with technology, do what Netflix did, and now become, at the top.
Yeah.
Right. Top of the game.
Yep.
So you've got to learn to change with the times, whether it's learning new technology, learning, different laws and regulations that change constantly. Right. I just got caught up on a loan yesterday where, there was a law that changed from June to now. And I was totally caught off guard. I was not expecting it, but, just a question about a foreign client and doing a government loan. And so it was a new thing that I didn't know, on an FHA loan, if you cut this out, by the way, don't put this in there, but on an FHA loan, if you're not a US citizen, you can't do an FHA loan as of May 25th.
Oof.
Crazy, right?
That's actually, so it's fun. I know you want us to cut it out. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Maybe we'll like blur over your face and be like, we don't know who said this. Talking about foreign investors, there was a recent announcement where now there's foreign countries, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, that are no longer allowed, and you would know better than I if it's nationals from that country or what the relationship is, are not allowed to purchase property in Texas anymore. How big of a shift do you think that's going to happen, not just with those nations, but in general, when it comes to our foreign policy on foreign investors? Have you noticed a big shift in that? Is there a big break, or what's your outlook on it?
So look, anytime there's a change in any type of policy, there will be an impact. When we'll see that impact, it's kind of, that's kind of up in the air. I'll tell you why. Because right now, we do not know, policies change every other day.
Yeah, it is. It's fast.
Right? And because of that, we don't know what to expect. Yeah. Presidencies, they're 4-year terms, right? So things change so rapidly all the time. At the top of the house, something can be said, and then a week later, a completely different rule can take precedence over that. Yeah. And so, have we seen an impact? Yeah, definitely a little bit. I just told you about a loan, a client coming from overseas. They're not a U.S. citizen, but they do file U.S. taxes. They show the income on their returns.
Wow.
Exactly. But they're not a U.S. citizen, so they couldn't do this FHA loan. And that's just a new law as of May, end of May of this year. So I was caught off guard. Good news is we got to switch the loan conventional, and you could do it conventional. But that's what I'm saying is that, there are things that will be impacted, and you may not know right away, but it'll all come down the pipe.
How are you staying ahead of the curve on this? There's so much to keep up with, and you're talking about the switch on May. You knew the date, which is awesome. And we talked. I know you were telling me a story about a DSRC loan,
a DSCR loan,
DSCR loan. Sorry. First, break down what that means. Tell me the story that you shared with me on how you handled that, what that looks like, and how that can be an option for a lot of buyers that might not even know it exists.
Yeah, man. Look, recently I closed on this loan. Incredible product. It's really tailored to entrepreneurs and investors who are buying, investment properties. But essentially, it's a DSCR loan. What that stands for, that acronym stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. Okay. And essentially what that means is an investor's coming to buy a house. If you're putting 25% down on that house, as long as the rental income from that investment property covers the PITI, the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and homeowner association, whatever expenses that are associated with that payment, as long as it covers that payment, then you can qualify for the financing, without showing any income documentation. Yeah.
Why do more people not know about this?
Look, man, because not everybody has 25% to put down, but the people who do have it and have that conversation with their banker or with their real estate agent up front, I'm sure they're presented with this product. It's an incredible product. The pricing is super sharp, slightly higher than traditional financing, and I say marginally higher, not very much higher. Very, very competitive, no income verification. It's an incredible. It's an incredible product. So yeah, I highly recommend it. I've sold plenty of these. It's mostly for investors, right? These are for investment properties, not primary residences. So it's a great product, an easy way to get and look, man, I see a lot of my self-employed clients coming and purchasing these type of using these type of products for these type of purchases, only because you can make a bunch of money. Your gross income on your taxes can show, really nice number. But after your write-offs and your expenses as a self-employed individual, that bottom line number may be less than what you expected or you thought you had made. And so because of that, people who can't qualify for like traditional finance or using that route, they go this other route, this investor type loan, DSCR, which I highly recommend. I really like that product. I think it's incredible, especially for people who are trying to purchase a property without having to show any income documentation. Yeah. It's an easy way to qualify.
Do you know if that product is on the blacklist for international investors as well? Or have you ever interacted with an international investor that's tried to use it?
You know what? I'm pretty sure that you can still use that product even for a foreign.
The reason I ask is because, and this I'm gonna piggyback this in another question. A large portion of our business at Go Real Estate, again, our broker founder Ahmed Omar, he does capital investment, wealth management as well. So he works with a lot of high net worth asset retaining individuals who like to invest heavily in the U.S. markets. What advice would you have, or what strategies would you have in connecting with those international investors? What tools are available to lower the threshold and make it easier for them to pick up investments, whether they're residential income investments or, office parks and malls and so on and so forth? What products are available for them to leverage?
Yeah, I mean, look, man, the DSCR product, another nice little key function of it is that you can close in an LLC.
That's powerful.
Exactly. So because of that, if it's a foreign investor and they have a company, right, an LLC where they filed, you can easily close in that, and it kind of helps out, in those type of situations.
Yeah. It's interesting because we had a client, at Go Real Estate, one of our the head of our commercial division had a client who has an international operation. They have an international business overseas. This is like a light bulb moment for me when I heard this story. And because of how their business moves their product into the United States, the trade routes that it had to follow, they were getting really hit hard with tariffs.
Okay.
They have one of the principal members of their organization that lives here in Texas. So they said, why don't we just bring our business stateside?
Exactly.
And they bought a massive facility, and they're going to bring their operation local. And kind of daunting to hear about that is there's always criticism when it comes to policy and you know, decisions that are made way high up the chain. And it's crazy because it worked in this case. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is a massive company that literally brought their operations stateside only because of the tariff situation. And they had the fortunate opportunity where they had somebody who was local, who was a resident and lived here, a citizen and all that. But the reason I asked you that is because not everybody has that same fortune. I'm sure there's a lot of international investors or business owners that are saying, we do a ton of business in the United States. Mm-hmm. And it's not affordable for us to continue with the trajectory we have. What if we start investing in U.S. real estate, building our business out from the United States? I think it's a huge opportunity to bring more business stateside. Obviously, that's the intention. But a lot of times the route to which that can come to fruition isn't clear. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the ways through the channel of real estate that we're seeing it happening.
Exactly.
It's awesome to see.
This is a perfect example, right? Like this is a perfect example of, you know, someone who can come pick up an asset like this without a lot of the traditional paperwork and requirements.
Yeah.
So yeah, for foreign investors, for example, absolutely. Cool. You know, like there are other products. Here's one that I love. It's a bank statement loan, 12-month business bank statement loan. You're self-employed, okay, great. Your tax returns show whatever, great. You're writing things off so it doesn't show the income that we need to see, no problem. But you know that your deposits are big, right? You're doing a lot of revenue. Your company's growing, and you've got the deposits to show for it. But on your taxes, you're writing things off, and it doesn't show for it. Yeah, there's a 12-month business bank statement loan where we can take the past 12 months of your bank statement and take all that, whatever, all the total deposits, and we will use, say there is $10,000 a month being deposited, for example, to your bank account. Okay. Yeah. You want to take it, let's take it a scale up. Say there's $100,000 a month being deposited to this business bank account. Okay. You know, off the top of my mind, I know a lender that'll allow us to use 70% of the deposits being made. So you could be depositing $100,000 a month. 90,000 of that could be going to expenses, but the lender will give you credit for 70% of the deposits.
Wow.
Right?
How strict are the limitations on that? Is this big company, small business, individual, S corps?
I just closed one last month for a concrete company.
Wow.
The guy's deposits were like $180,000 a month. I think his expenses were maybe $160,000, $150,000. So there's maybe $30,000 of money. But the amount of income that the lender was able to give him was around $140,000 a month in income.
That's powerful.
Exactly. Although his tax returns did not show that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because he's investing in his business.
Exactly.
Very cool. Okay.
So a lot of opportunity, man. It all comes down to that initial conversation. And that's why with all of my realtors, when I have the conversations with my realtors, I always start with, has the client been pre-approved yet? They haven't? Get them in contact with me ASAP. Let's go over the financial resume. Let's get them a pre-approval letter, and then let the realtor, let your team know to feel confident when they're going and making an offer to a listing agent, right? On the property for their client. So,
I don't think I've ever called or texted you, and I've done it many a time at odd hours of the day or the evening on random subjects, whether it's, hey, I got a guy who's looking at doing an investment or somebody buying a home and they want a second opinion. And I have not had a response from you almost instantly, if not momentarily, mashallah. And even if it's just to say, hey, I'm tied up, I'll get back to you in a second.
Alhamdulillah, man. Alhamdulillah. Look,
and how does that, so I take pride in trying to do that myself.
Exactly.
And, sometimes there's misses, but 9 times out of 10, I tell my clients, I'm like, look, even if I just got a reply and say, hey, I'm tied up, I'll get back to you at the end of the day, you will get a response from me. And I'm curious to know, how do you operate at that level? Take us into the mind of Atif. You're, mashallah, high energy, a ton of confidence, mashallah, awesome experience. You're busy, right? You're not just thriving, you're not just surviving, you're thriving.
Alhamdulillah.
But you're operating at a high level as well. And it sounds like with a team under you, around you, where does that come from, and how do you hone in onto that ability?
So, look, man, first of all, I wake up like this. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Second of all, man, look, I'm grateful. I'm grateful every single day for the opportunity, bro. Like, what am I going to sit at home and do nothing and not put my best effort and give my best self every single day? Like, God created me to be the best version of myself. So the best version of the best version of myself might be tired sometimes, man. Mm-hmm. Might be hungry sometimes, right? Yeah. Might be sleepless, right? Might be stressed or frustrated. Mm-hmm. But the best version of myself, you're always going to get the all of me, right? And so, you know, I think that speed of the captain is the speed of the crew.
I like that. Mashallah, you know, it's good. You know, you mentioned your family earlier. I think fatherhood brings the best out of us in that facet.
Alhamdulillah, man.
You're a walking role model. You got to be Superman every morning. Doesn't matter if it's Superman with knee pain because we're getting older, or Superman with the sniffles, or whatever it might be. Like, you got to put that cape on and fly through that door.
Yeah, look, one of the things that I think maybe 3-4 years ago, I realized that, you know, you can reach levels of success that you had never thought of, right? Mm-hmm. You can work so hard and take care of so many people and help so many clients and really feel like you've reached like a level that you didn't ever think you would reach in your career, and putting your every day your best, consistent, relentless effort. But no amount of success or money or travel or vacation or time off of work or team the size or volume, no amount of success in any of that even is even a grain of sand on the ocean of the ocean floor, of the happiness that my children bring me, man. Like, to me, the reason I do this and put myself, you know, literally, is so I can give them the best life that they can have. Wallah, and no, that is the joy of my life.
May Allah preserve them.
When I come home and I'm walking in the door and my kids are running to the door to give me a hug, and they don't know the headaches and the nightmares and the problems that I had to solve that day, or, you know, the employee issues, or the you know, resolving the title company's problem, or whatever. No amount of joy. No amount of joy. No matter what the craziness and the nightmares that could have happened or the problems that I had to solve that day, as soon as I walk into that house, and
it's all worth it.
Kids, wallahi, and that is the joy of my life right now. Like, I cannot tell you. Yani, Laith, he's 7 years old. He thinks that he's a businessman. He thinks that he is like me. Like, he thinks that he is the boss, you know, and I love seeing that, because it just goes to show you, you know, you put on the suit every morning and you put your best foot, you show them who you are. They will want to be like you, you know. Look, man, one of the best things in life is waking up in the morning, right when Fajr, right when it adins, and your kid's awake, and they say, okay, we got to go pray. There's nothing more fulfilling than that.
That's it.
It doesn't matter how tired I am in the morning. I jump out of bed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Those little things, man, make me so much happier than, you know, the $2 million closing. You know? What makes me so happy is like the love that I see in my wife's eyes when she's teaching the kids.
Allahu Akbar.
Like, you can't put a value on that. There's no dollar. There's no value to that. That's priceless to me. You know? And look, man, my kids make me a better man, a better father, a better Muslim, a better leader, a better banker, a better business, everything, man. Yes. Everything. It's kind of, you know, some people may look and laugh at that.
Yeah.
But wallah and no, the reason I do the best that I can is because I want to be the best that I can for them. I also want to see the people in my community that are in the business with me, like you and like other people just like us, like-minded individuals, reach levels of success that they can also take back to their kids and their home and their families and their community.
Yes.
There's no reason that, you know, people are driving down the highway and they see our face on a billboard. Hey, call me. You know, you're looking for a mortgage? Call Osman Mortgage.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason that people in the city recognize that face. Yeah. Like, it's like a regular face, right? Just like they recognize, the President of the United States. There's no reason that you are not on a billboard, and people in our community, they recognize us, and they know that whenever they need a house, whenever they want to sell a house, or they know who to call. right? There's no reason that we aren't that. Right. And I believe that every day that we come in and we put our best foot forward and we put this effort in and we strive for greatness. I believe that that's right in front of us.
Yeah.
I really do, man. I think that we're doing such a great job. The community here in DFW, what we've been able to build and continue to build and refine is an incredible thing. And I'm very grateful to be a part of that. And, quick shout out. Run for Refugees is coming up in a month. Really looking forward to that. I'm gonna have a table, West Capital, and powered by Osman Mortgage, powered by West Capital Lending. We'll be there. I know you will be there.
We'll be next door. Go Real Estate Group's
I can't wait, bro. Yeah. We're gonna blow it up, and I can't wait to just put our face out there in our community, shake hands, smile, give the kids candies, really just be a face in the community that people can feel comfortable speaking with about really some of the most private things in most of our lives, which is our financial situation. Yeah. And so, I don't take that lightly. I take that very, very seriously. And, I look forward to really helping out every single person in our community in the DFW market.
Yep.
And for all of you that do not know where to go, when you have a question about your mortgage or,
where do we find you? Let us know.
Yeah, let's go. Call me, Atef Osman. You can look me up on Instagram at Osman Mortgage. I work for West Capital Lending. I'm here in Dallas, Texas. I'm licensed in 10 states across the country. So if you're coming from Washington or California or Colorado or Arizona or Florida or Ohio or a handful of other states, I am more than willing and I would be more than happy to help you. I've got a team of incredible realtors that I work with.
And I'm still licensed up in Washington too. So I help a lot of families relocate from Seattle down here. So
anytime.
Collaboration coming soon. If you're looking to making that move down south, then trust you got a dynamic duo over here.
Let's make it happen.
We're working on it together.
Let's make it happen.
Habibi, we've talked about finance. We've talked about faith. We've talked about family. And I've benefited a lot. And I appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you so much for coming. Jazakallah. It was beautiful. We're going to keep working on it.
Thank you for having me, bro. Thank your team. Great building. I can't wait to come back. Hey, the next podcast.
Yes.
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be, we're going to out of the park.
Double up.
Grand Slam coming soon. Okay. This is the first one. So
it'll be good. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Jazakallah khair, man. And thank you for everything. And
Likewise.
respect to you guys.
Likewise.